All right, so this video is sped up again, and here, now that we've established our perspective, we've established the forms that make up our design, and we have the design. Now it's time to go through and draw it with clean lines. So you can see I'm trying to draw as straight a line as I can in between, and it just makes for a much better finished product. Now right here, I'm actually using a small circle template right on the screen. So if you're working on pencil and paper, be sure to grab a circle template. Ellipse tools, I'm going to use those here in a minute. Use rulers. You want to try to make this as clean as possible. Remember, take your time. It's not about speed. It's about making it look nice and having a finished drawing that it shows all the details, shows it off. Think of it more as a blueprint than an illustration. Okay. So again, I'm using the circle template here. Just going through and trying to make these lines look as nice and clean as I can. Okay. Erasing out some extra lines that I don't need. I tend to start with the big shapes, of course, just like I do, with the previous stage where I'm blocking the forms. I'm finding those big lines and I'm blocking those in, and then I go through and start doing little details. Here I'm going to use the Ellipse tool again. And what I'm doing there is my Ellipse tool only has ellipses so big. So rather than go and try and hunt down other ellipses, what's great about using the Ellipse tool on the screen is you can just sort of scale your artwork to the size of the ellipse that you need, which is great. Then you only need one ellipse template, assuming you have different degrees on it. The turbine in the back is using, I'd say, somewhere in the neighborhood of like a 30, 35 degree, whereas the one in the front is probably using more like a 50 to 55 degree. If you don't know what that means, that's okay. Don't worry about it. So again, here I'm trying to get those lines smooth. Notice that I turned the page. Right? If you're on a piece of paper, do that. We've practiced drawing straight lines. This is why we do warm-ups all the time, to try and practice drawing those straight lines. I am actually freehanding those long curves, but I've turned the page so that I can get them nice and smooth. Right? If you don't feel comfortable with that, then get out a curve tool. Okay. We're not looking for perfection, but we are looking for clean, and we're looking for it to be as right as possible. Blocking in a little bit of the details there. Again, I'm using my Ellipse tool. I'm scaling up to match the size that I need. I'm drawing that in. I really didn't like this one, so I took a couple different tries. There we go. Block in an inside bit for depth. I want to go back and start adding in my reverse thrusters. Got to have those in there. Now, why they would be open while it's sitting there docked is beyond me, but just wanted to show them off, I guess. Again, turning the page to sort of get that freehand smooth curve. And for the ones underneath, I'll flip the page completely upside down. Okay. You want to get in the habit of doing that so that you can use your strengths, use your arm. This is why we do warm-ups. I can't stress that enough. blocking in some of the details. You can see I'm sort of making up the landing gear here as I go. That's why I'm taking a little bit of extra time here. Trying to watch my perspective. We've got these hoses that seem to just maybe supply ammo to that big turret up front. Don't really know, just thought it looked cool. Okay, now here's something important that I do a lot, and that's flipping my canvas. If you're drawing on a piece of paper, the best thing to do is hold it up to a mirror. I'm kind of flipping all over the place there. But when you flip your canvas like that, it gives your eyes an opportunity to see things that they don't normally see, particularly when it comes to human beings and faces, but even in perspective like this, your eyes sort of get locked into seeing a certain skew, I guess is the best word. And if you go back and flip it, you can see stuff you didn't normally see. So it's just a good practice to get into. A lot of times I'll work, in the reverse perspective for quite some time. All right, now here's where I'm going to start to try and fix those landing gear legs, because I knew they weren't in perspective from the very beginning. So I'm going to use my perspective grid, and I'm also sort of designing. And remember earlier in the previous video, I said that it's a little bit harder to try to design and pay attention to perspective. And you can watch this little bit about the legs and see exactly what I mean by that. There's a lot of drawing, then going back and changing. And so it takes a little bit longer. That's why I say, design first, then clean up, and then go back and do perspective and make sure it's all right, and then do a finished drawing. You need to work in these stages to get a finished product that looks good, because in the first stage it's all about design. It's just about getting the idea down, and then we go back and we polish it up. Alright, so I've just about blocked in all the major components on this one. In the next video I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, as well as a little rule called the 70-30 rule, which is not really a rule, but it's a guideline, just like everything else. So stay tuned and be sure to watch the next video.